What is the weirdest thing that you've ever done? I want you to think. And you can yell them out. Come on, what's the weirdest thing you've ever done? Okay, let's not answer that. That's weird. That makes me wonder if you murdered someone, but that's cool. What else? What's the weirdest thing you've ever done? Hold on. Joseph, you're always talking. Do what? Wow. That's not really weird. That's clumsy. All right, let me get some other things. What's the weirdest thing you've ever done? What is it, Landon? Weirdest thing you've ever done? Okay, that's clumsy again. You guys are missing the point of what's weird and what's clumsy. What you got?
I ran into a truck.
That is weird. I think that goes beyond clumsy. Kyle, what you got? Wait, say that again? Why?
Exactly.
See, you guys are missing. That's just stupid. Yours is like borderline weird. Okay, anyways. I got one that can beat you guys, all right? Weird. That's not weird. That's gross. All right, weirdest thing. All right, Jackson, come on. Last one. Everybody, shh. Last one. What you got?
In the middle of the night, I woke up 3 seconds before 1:20.
Wow. That's creepy. That's psychic. That's not weird. That's creepy. All right, anyways. All right, look. I got one. Hold on. I got one that can top you guys. All right, best one ever can top you guys. So most of y'all know I came from Japan, which means our mission trips were like big, all right? We went to like Thailand, we've been to Korea, we've been to the Philippines, we went all these different places. Well, all these places you go to, there's always like different and just weird foods that you have to try. Like guys, I'm gonna tell you, most of you are gonna hate me. How many of y'all are dog lovers in here? I've tried dog before. It's not weird. That's not the weird part. Like, I mean, guys, look, you walk into a restaurant, you want some, hey, you want some European? St. Bernard's up there. You want some Mexican? You got a Chihuahua? What do you want? I mean, you got what you want. And just seriously, I have tried dog. It's like chicken. It's just real, like, gamey. It's kind of nasty. So, I know. So, anyways, this isn't the weird thing, though, okay? So, we had a dare, and we had to try a specialty from the Philippines, okay? I'm going to show you guys a picture in a minute. Don't put it up there yet. I'm going to show them a picture of what I tried. Now, it's nasty, okay? It's kind of gross. It's kind of like eating a crunchy gummy bear. It's the best way I can describe it. Are you guys ready? Hold on, don't put the picture up yet. It's called balut. Does anybody know what balut is? Now, that's not Baloo, guys. I didn't eat the bear from Jungle Book, all right? Not Bare Necessities. This is balut, all right? I'm just going to show you guys the picture. Y'all see if y'all can figure it out. This is the weirdest thing I've ever done. All right, Braden, hit him with a picture. Oh, it's coming slowly. I like that. It's kind of like. Can anybody guess what that is? That is an unborn chicken. What's worse is my wife is just hearing this for the first time. So, I'm sorry. My daughter. Guys, it's like a crunchy gummy bear. Now, if you look, all right, hold on, everybody, hold on, look. The wings are still in it. The fur, or the feathers are still on it. The yellow part, that's the yolk, all right? Then you got the actual bird. Here's what you do. You cut the top of it and you slurp it like a drink. Once it's gone.
What's a crunchy gummy bear?
Weirdest thing, I didn't back down from it. But, guys, I mean, it's not like it was going to be born to be eaten anyways. I just stopped the process. I mean, it's okay. I just stopped it early. My bad. All right, anyways. So that's the weirdest thing that I've ever done. You guys judging me now?
Yeah. Low-key, yes, all forever.
Okay. Don't go home and tell your parents, be like, so what'd you learn tonight, honey? That Pastor Adam ate an unborn chicken. So, I was in another country, all right? Don't judge me. I'll get you afterwards. Hold on. All right, anyways. So this month, we got a brand new series called Weird, all right? I'm excited about this series. I've been spending time praying about it. I've been spending time getting ready for it. It's awesome because 2 reasons. One, Daniel Creekmore is going to be preaching in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. 2 weeks. You guys should be a part of it. I got to turn my stuff off. You guys should be excited. So Daniel's going to be preaching in 2 weeks. Then in 3 weeks, Pastor Derek Dale from Kings and Queens is going to be coming. You guys are like, I don't know who that is. I promise you don't want to miss it. Pastor Derek is one of the people that helped start this church. He runs a massive youth ministry in Coleman, and he's going to be coming down here on a Wednesday to preach to you guys. Don't want to miss it. And you get Nerd Night. Okay, nerd night, come dressed up. So anyways, all right. So this month, the series called Weird. All right, what's so big about it is I want you guys to use this series as more of a movement, okay? I want you to kind of use this to really shape the rest of this year. Like, what is weird? Like, you hear that and you're like, I don't understand what that means. Like, if you walk in here today and maybe you say, hey, I'm only here because my friend dragged me here. I don't understand this whole Christianity thing. I don't understand Jesus. Like, I'm just here because my friend brought me. Maybe they lied to you and told you there's going to be free food. I'm sorry, there's not. But, free food. But you may think, okay, Jesus is weird. You know what? Jesus is weird. And I'm going to prove to you why there's nothing wrong with it and why it's cool that Jesus is weird. So it's going to be a movement for us. I want it to be our slogan this year. Like, be weird, all right? Be weird. It's okay to be weird. Whatever you want to make for it. I want it to be our slogan this year. How many of you have ever heard that cleanliness is next to godliness? I got a new one for you. I even made up a word for it. Weirdliness, that's my word. Don't steal it. I've already sent it in. Is next to godliness. Weirdliness is next to godliness. No, that's more of a parable. You'll enjoy it. Some of y'all, that's your SAT word of the day. Go home and look it up. Avery has no idea what that word means because she's looking at me all blank there. So anyways, so weird is a big thing. And I'm being serious. Like, I want you to soak this in. Like, I want you to soak this series in. I want you to really use this. I want you to really pay attention to what the series is about and use it to go on this year. Because if we want to be weird, we should be weird because Jesus was weird. No way around it. Jesus was a weird guy, all right? Never wore shoes, always had sandals, long hair, all this kind of stuff. Jesus was a weird guy. All right, here's what I want to show you. This is a couple reasons why Jesus was weird. First thing is, guys, Jesus lived a weird life. Let's just be honest. Okay? Let's just throw it out there. Jesus lived a weird life. Jesus spoke in like weird phrases. Like half the time Jesus said something, you're like, Jesus, I got no idea what you're talking about. How many of you, like when you read Shakespeare, you have no idea what's going on? That's what it's like to hang out with Jesus. Like you have no idea, pretty much. You have no idea. Here's what he said. I want you guys to check out this verse right here. It's going to be Matthew chapter 13, verses 12 through 13. This is what it says. Those who have understanding will be given more, and they will have all that they need. But those who do not have understanding, here's where it gets weird, even what they have will be taken away. You guys read that? But those who do not have understanding, even what they have will be taken away. Like Jesus. Like, I don't know if you've sat in an algebra class, but you can't take 0 from 0. Like you just said, they have nothing, but we're taking it away. Again, it makes no sense. This is just weird. Here's how he continues in verse 13. This is why I use stories to teach people. All right, Jesus, show me what's up. They see, but they do not really see. Jesus, I got no idea what you're talking about. And he says they hear, but they do not really hear or understand. All right, Jesus, if you're going to talk to me, like I need to understand what's going on. So this is how Jesus talked to people. That's one reason why society in this time thought Jesus was weird. They had no idea what he was saying. Check this out. Jesus answered a question with a question at many times. How many times do you ask a friend something or you ask a teacher a question and they answer you with a question? How annoyed do you get? Like, I didn't mean to answer you. You didn't need to answer me with a question. I asked you a question to give me an answer, not a question to give me a question. Check it. This is Jesus right here. So the disciples are trying to feed this massive crowd of people. It's going to be in Matthew chapter 15, down in verse 33. And so they kind of asked Jesus, where could we get enough bread in this remote place to feed such a crowd? Jesus answers this way. How many loaves of bread do you have? Jesus, I literally just asked you, how many loaves of bread do we need? And you respond with, how many do you have? In your mind, does that make you think that, God, we don't have enough? Like, I'm asking you, how are we going to do this? Well, how many loaves of bread do you have? So Jesus answered questions with questions. Other things is, Jesus performed miracles. Back in this day and age, a miracle is probably a weird thing. You've heard the story about how Jesus made the blind man see. Do you know how he did it? He spit in his hand and wiped it on his face. You know, everybody in that crowd's like, oh no, he didn't. Like, he just spit in his hand and that's what he's doing. He's wiping it on his face. I'm just saying. Let me use my story. Anyways, so then Jesus also made a man walk. You heard Pastor Brandon tell you not too long ago about how he lowered somebody through the roof. First of all, people are thinking like, why is this man coming through the roof? What is he doing? And then Jesus told him to get up and walk off. So people are looking at this and like freaking out. All these miracles, all these things are going on. Like Jesus is looking at all these things. So people are looking and thinking that Jesus is weird. The weirdest thing of all, Jesus rose from the dead. And that day and age, in this day and age, that is classified as a zombie, okay? Like anybody that rises from the dead is a zombie. You know people are thinking like, Jesus, how did you rise from the dead 3 days later and you still smell good? Like, you should be smelling bad. Like, this is just weird, okay? So these are all things that Jesus did in his life that people on the outside that didn't really understand who he was or didn't know who he was viewed Jesus. They thought he was a weird guy. But even in all this weirdness, even in everything that Jesus does, God wants us to be like Jesus. The thing is, the more we become like Jesus, the weirder we get. The weirder that we get. Here's a couple reasons why. This is why when we become more like Jesus, the weirder we get. One of them is the choices that we make. Your friends, society, they may not agree with the choices that you make. Like, they may not agree with what's going on or the values that you have. Like, why do you act that way? Why do you talk that way? Why do you do this? Why do you do that? Why do you not agree with what I want to do? These are values that you have and say, I don't want to do that. I don't agree with that. That's not what I want to do. So that's a value that they have. Another thing is the way that we spend our time. You may have friends that think to yourself, like, why do you go to church on Wednesdays? Like, why do you go to small group? Why do you do that? Why do you spend your Saturday serving at a massive egg drop? Why do you spend your Saturday cleaning up somebody's house that you don't even know? People look at you and they think, that's just weird. Why are you doing all these things? People may also say to you, like, the money that we give. Why are you even giving money to a church? Why, you worked hard for that. Why don't you go and buy yourself a pair of shoes or do something? So your friends look at that. Your friends may also say that, by the way that you talk, you say things this way, or you use this kind of phrase, or you use these things. And people look at us and view us as weird. But let's just be honest. We make ourselves easy targets, right? Christians, we make ourselves an easy target for people to pick at because they don't understand the things that we do that are weird. Like, people may say, like, why do you get emotional? God. Why in the world do you get all emotional? Like, when you talk about, oh, this is what God's done for my life, then your friends are making fun of you. Like, I don't understand. Like, why do you get all teared up? You've never even met the person, but yet you get all torn up inside. They ask questions like that. They may also say, like, why in the world are you, like, raising your hand and closing your eyes during when people are singing? Why are you that person that's, like, walking around like, oh, Jesus, like, you got hands going, you're flowing. Guys, when you're worshiping, be mindful of the people around you. Don't start slapping people left and right because you're just like, Jesus. You've heard me tell you before, my wife thinks I'm like Carlton when I'm like worshiping. Like, I get going. Don't be that person, all right? And unfortunately, I sit on the front row and I'm up here and I'm just going. Don't be that person. But you may have friends that ask you, why are you doing that? Why are your hands up in the air? Why are you raising? Like, what is that? That's just weird. Like, nobody does that. Nobody raises their hand because they don't understand. You may have friends that say, why in the world are you getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning to get to church on a Sunday? Why in the world would you get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to serve on a Sunday? That doesn't make any sense. That's just weird. Sleep in. Do something else. Don't get there so early in the morning. You may also have friends that don't understand what it means when we take communion. Like, what's this whole thing about, like, drinking the blood of Jesus and eating the body and all this? Like, oh my gosh, guys, it's grape juice. That's not what we're trying to do. Like, I just hear that's what y'all are doing. Like, y'all are drinking the blood of somebody. Like, no, the grape juice signifies the blood of Christ. They're not drinking it. So people are thinking, they think it's weird if they don't know, because here's the thing. People fear what they don't understand. People fear what they don't understand. And then what they do is they label it as different, or they label it as weird. And so that's how people are when they're on the outside looking in. But the fact of the matter is God doesn't call us to be a part of this world. God calls us to be set apart. God calls us to be different than the world that we're living in. Guys, Jesus didn't die on the cross for our sins so we could go on living like the world. Jesus didn't hang there. Jesus didn't be spit on and be ridiculed and be made fun of and be called weird and had a crown of thorns stuck on him so they could make fun of him because they thought he was weird so we could just continue living like the world. That's not what God calls us to do. So what does that mean when we say that we need to not be of this world? What it means is a Jesus type of weird. That's what we want to be. That's what we want to seek. I want to give you guys an example. Luke chapter 6. We're going to start in verse 27. It's going to be another one of these verses that you read and you're like, Jesus, I have no idea what you're even talking about, dude. Like, why are you even saying? So here's what it starts in verse 27. But I say to you who are listening, love your enemies. You're like, all right, I could You know, I may not like you, but I guess I could love you. Do good to those who hate you. Bless those who curse you, and pray for those who are cruel to you. Jesus, you're asking of a lot of me right now. Like, I don't understand this. Like, people are mean. People treat me wrong, and you want me to be nice to them. All right, I'm listening, but you're pushing me. All right, so this is how he continues. This is what he says in verse 29. If someone slaps you on the cheek, offer him the other cheek too. Jesus, you've gone too far. If somebody walks up to me and shows me the back of their hand and hits me, it's game on. All right, everybody in this room is thinking the same thing. Like, Jesus, I ain't going to be like, take a slap and be like, oh, hey, take it the other one. All right, nobody in this room is thinking that. But that's what Jesus is telling us. In your mind, like, Jesus, that's a weird statement. Okay, I have anger issues. Somebody hits me, like, I'm going to pray for them afterwards because they're probably going to be dead when I'm done with them. Amen. See, that's what I like. All right, so here's how he goes. This is the next one that kind of gets me. If someone takes your coat, do not stop him from taking your shirt. So now you got my coat, then you take my shirt, so I'm standing in front of people naked almost. And you want me to continue just giving things up? What goes next? My pants? Like, I don't understand, Jesus. If you're sitting there listening to Jesus say this, be honest, you're going to think Jesus is kind of weird. Like, so you want me to give up all these things just because they need it? So you can turn to your friend and say, hey, I need something you got. They need to give it to you. That's what Jesus is saying. So just throwing that out there. Don't go home and say, Mom, Dad, Pastor Adam said, Jesus said, if I want all your money, you got to give it to me. In the car, too, in the house, everything that goes with it. So, no. But here's what he finishes up. He says, give to everyone who asks you, and when someone takes something that is yours, don't ask for it back. Does any of this kind of make sense when you're reading it? In your mind, be honest, if you were sitting there in a circle listening to Jesus talk, would you or would you not think Jesus is just a little bit off his rocker? A little bit weird. Just a little bit. Like, what are you even talking about? So the dude is weird, all right? Right here, I told you I was going to say it. Jesus is a weird guy. But Jesus is weird because he wasn't defined as normal by cultural standards. Culture didn't view him as normal. They viewed him as weird. Like, even in today, if we took today's society, with everything that goes on, do you think Jesus would be considered weird or normal? It'd be a little bit weird. People would see these things. I don't understand why you do that. I don't get all that. People would view him as that. I want you guys to take this. Look at his disciples. This is just another example about Jesus and being weird. Look at his disciples. Someone would think that Jesus would surround himself with the strongest of the strong, the biggest and baddest religious leaders of the land in his time. Like, if Jesus was alive today, you'd see him surrounding himself with people like Rich Wilkerson or Pastor Chris Hodges or Billy Graham, all these big preachers that you would think that's who Jesus would kind of set everything around. So that's the day and age. But instead, that's not who Jesus surrounded himself around. Jesus didn't surround himself with other Christians that were known for their religion. Jesus surrounded himself with people that were considered weird in today's culture, weird in today's society. Take for instance, some of his disciples were tax collectors. Nobody in this day and age liked a tax collector. Everybody hated them, thought they were weird. They come knocking on your door and they say, "Hey, I need some money. You need to give it to me." You had to give it to them, or you go to jail. Other people were uneducated fishermen. That was who Jesus decided to surround himself around. Other people notorious sinners is who Jesus surrounded himself around. But what's so neat about who he surrounds himself around, that sounds similar like us, especially when we talk about notorious sinners, just like you and me. So could it be possible that Jesus surrounded himself with people that are just as bad or maybe even worse than you and I are? That's who Jesus decided to surround himself around. So these men, they're considered weird. They're considered weird by society standards back in this day. People didn't want to be around them. People didn't care for them. People didn't like them. People didn't like the decisions that they made. They were viewed as outcasts. Now, when they're viewed as outcasts, what that means is they're not normal. They're weird. They're not normal. Normal means that this is the path that you should follow. You should be like this. Nobody in this room wants to be grouped in the category as weird. Nobody wants to say, well, that's the weird kid in school. Okay, that's the kid that hangs out by himself. That's the kid that I constantly see eating his boogers in the corner. That's weird. Okay, that's the weird guy. Don't judge. We've all been there. Okay, some of us didn't have friends for a little while in school. Don't judge. But anyway, and I'm speaking of myself. But I want you guys to check this out. This is what Jesus is trying to explain about what it means to either be normal of this world or to be weird. Check this out. Matthew chapter 6, verse 13. It says, enter through the narrow gate. For wide is the gate. If you don't know what the word wide means, big. And broad is the road. Again, broad is another word for big. Okay. And so the road that leads to destruction, and many enter through it. What it's trying to say in that verse is obviously the road is big, the gate is big, because there's tons of people that are going down this road. This road leads to destruction, but it ends when it says, but small is the gate, and narrow is the road that leads to life, and only a few find it. So if you take that verse and you pull it apart, here's what it's saying. First and foremost, the broad, the big gate, that's what's normal. Okay? That's where everybody that you know, everybody that you spend time with, that's where society goes. Society is taking the big road, the big gate. Small, the gate that not many people find, that's the weird gate. That's the one that not many people want to go down that road because most people don't want to be categorized as that. So do you notice which one is less traveled? Most people want to fit into the norm, fit into normal. When I was kind of sitting here trying to think about what's normal and what's weird, I was reminded of a story that my dad told me one time. And it's about a kid that's walking on a beach, and here's thousands upon thousands of starfish. And all these starfish are just all over the place. And what happens is they get washed up on shore, and when the tide goes down, they get stuck, and they end up dying. So this kid is just walking down the beach, and he's picking up one starfish and throwing it, picking up a starfish and throwing it, picking up just over and over, just one at a time. And guys, there's like thousands of tens of thousands of hundreds of thousands all over the place of these starfish. So they're throwing them and throwing them. This guy just kind of sees it and instantly starts to think, this kid is weird. What is he doing? Why is he picking up all these fish? And so he decides to walk down and say to him, like, son, what are you doing? Why are you picking up all these starfish? He's like, well, I'm trying to make a difference. Son, you can't. There's thousands upon thousands of starfish out here. You can't possibly make a difference. And without even missing a beat, the kid picks up another starfish, throws it into the water, and looks at the man and says, I made a difference in the life of that one. You see, when it comes to these things, normal is acceptable. Normal would be not walking down and throwing the starfish in, but weird changes lives. Normal is acceptable, but weird changes lives. As I told you guys earlier, having a spiritual walk is not easy. It's not for the faint of heart, because you're not going to fit in sometimes. You're going to have times where your friends don't understand what you're doing. They don't understand why you're making these choices. They don't understand why you're at the party and you're not drinking or you're not doing these things. And so you end up not fitting in. It's not the easiest place to do. And for me, I see this every single day. When I decided to be a student pastor, I've told you guys before, I used to come from the party scene. I was crazy. I was out drinking every weekend, just doing all this stuff. And I come to this and decide that I'm going to follow Christ and I want to be a student pastor, and this is what I want to do and share my story with other students. It was a little bit of a change at work, because a lot of the people I used to do these things with are the people that I worked with. And even like this past week, I still get ridiculed for being a student pastor. When we're at meetings, we always pray. We're a Christian organization, and so first thing everybody does is they say, oh, we have to pray over the meeting. Instantaneously, it's always like, oh, Adam, you're the holy one. Why don't you pray? You can say it. And I'm like, I mean, guys, like, you guys can all pray. Like, I'm not, like, holier than anybody else in this room. And they're like, no, you're the pastor. You pray. You know how to do it. Or I might hear something like this even happened just yesterday. We had a big meeting. And as soon as the meeting is, we were in Mountain Brook, and there was a place everybody was going to go eat at. And they're like, hey, Adam, you want to go eat with us? Oh, wait, you don't drink, so you probably don't want to sit down. Like, guys, I mean, like, I can still go to lunch. I mean, I can still hang out with you. And they're like, no, you probably don't want to go because, you don't drink and we do. And so I hear that. I hear it all the time. I catch ridicule for being a student pastor. And I know they're not being, like, they're not trying to be mean about it, but they are kind of jabbing at it. But that's what it's like to be a Christian. That's what it's like to be somebody that says, I want to follow Christ. I want to make a difference. And I get that. I catch jabs all the time. And so I'm ridiculed for it because in society, it's considered normal to do a lot of those things. It's considered normal to go out and party and drink till you can't remember anymore, or to try drugs, or to sleep around and do it. That's normal. It's not normal to say, no, thank you, I don't want that. That's not for me. I don't want that road. That's not normal, and that's how it is. So see, normal makes you relatable. That's why the road is so big, because everybody wants to be able to relate to every other person. So they want to be normal. They don't want to be the outcast. They don't want to be weird. They want to make sure that they're considered just like everybody else. But see, here's what's awesome, is having a personal relationship with Christ. It allows you to discover something so much better, something so much bigger. If you decide to say, I want to follow that weird path and be that, this is a couple things that it does. It allows you to discover that peace and understanding. Like when you're struggling with something, or you're worried about something, or you may be sitting here right now thinking like, Adam, I wish you would quit talking because I got to get home and study for a test. Like I got so much going on, or I got stressed with my friends or with my girlfriend or whatever is going on. But when you have that relationship with Christ, it allows you to give it to God and just have peace. Like, I'm going to let you have it, God. I'm going to trust you. I know you're going to take over. Maybe it's something as far as like even controlling over yourself. Maybe you're the one that says, I have like massive anger issues. Like it takes the smallest thing to set me off. But you're able to give that to God. You can give that to Christ. Say, God, just take this away from me. Just when I'm angry, just let it go. Let it be gone. That's something that you can do. It can also be things like love unconditionally. I know it's hard. I know Jesus wants us to turn the other cheek if somebody slaps us. But Jesus tries to teach us to love unconditionally, even when people drive us to the brink of insanity and make us mad. It also allows us to discover our life with a purpose. It's one of the reasons why you see it all over this church, life on purpose. Discover what it means to live life on purpose. That's what it means to have a relationship with God. It also means that you love a God who gave up his son because you were a sinner and because you were rebellious. That's what it means to have a relationship with him. And what you end up doing is living that God kind of weird. Like that's the weird life you're living, is that godly living. Because guys, let's just be honest. Normal is broken. Like normal doesn't work. Normal's not something that you see benefits from. Normal's not something that's working all the time, because when you live things that are not normal, you're living things that outlast this world. Like living for a higher purpose or living to glorify God. That's what it means to go down that road of being weird. I want you guys to think about for a moment. Think about school. Think about, yeah, I know. Hey, you got a couple hours for you to get up in the morning. Think about school. Think about what you see every single day. Think about what you see when you're walking down the hallway. Think about the people you encounter. Think about what you see, how you see other people treating each other. Think about how you talk. Think about even those of you that are getting ready to go to college or in college, think about that. Think about what you really see every single day. Think about what you deal with every single day. Think about all those things that you see. Big crowds traveling down that road, or that broad, big road. Would you guys agree that normal doesn't work? You can, yes, no? Do you agree that normal doesn't work? What you see every single day. Because you want to know what normal is? Normal is being overworked and stressed out. Normal is being overwhelmed. Like when you're not overwhelmed or you're not busy, like you're seen as weird. Like, dude, you're lazy. Like you're not doing anything. You're not involved in anything. Like you need to be stressed out to the max. You should have something planned from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed. If you ever have a moment where you're sitting at home doing nothing, that makes no sense. That's just weird. Guys, normal is sleeping around for no other reason than to do it. That's what normal is. That's what you see in school. That's what you see in college. That's what normal is. And when you encounter people like, you're not sleeping around, like you didn't hook up with someone, you didn't do any of that stuff, like society views you as weird if you're not doing those things. Why are you not out doing that this weekend? That's what normal is. Girls, normal is being half-dressed. You live in a society today where everything that you buy gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and if you don't wear those things, it doesn't make any sense. I'm being serious. That's what's normal. You hear it all the time. Sex sells. That's what's all over banisters and billboards and things like that. That's how you get people to buy your products. If you're not like that, it's not normal. Normal is being tolerant of things that we know are sinful just because we don't want to be judged. We accept it. We don't let it bother us. We just look at it and pass it by. We don't ever try to intervene. We don't ever try to talk to our friends that are doing these things that we know are sinful. We're just tolerant of it. Because if I'm not tolerant of it and I even say something to you, then I'm considered weird. Like I'm an outcast because I tried to bring it up to you. That's what weird is. Guys, being normal leads to lukewarm Christianity. That's what being normal does. Lukewarm Christianity, that means committing to the sin even though you're aware of it. Like you know in your mind, I really probably shouldn't be looking at that. Or I shouldn't be drinking that. Or I shouldn't be watching this. Or I shouldn't be talking this way. But yet you still do it. Because you're a lukewarm Christian. You're okay with it as long as nobody gets hurt. As long as nobody knows. As long as I'm kind of doing it in the confines of my own home. Or I do it where nobody knows and it's okay. Because that's lukewarm Christianity. Being half in and half out is what it means to be to be a lukewarm Christian. Believing that God is alive and God is here, but you live like he doesn't exist. You say in your mind, I know God is real. I know God's alive. I know God is here, but I'm not going to live like he really is real. So you end up just kind of pushing him under the side. Lukewarm Christianity is living for yourself. Not caring about the people sitting next to you. Not caring about the people that you encounter every single day. It means that you live for yourself, not for God, not for friends, not for family. You live to do nothing but please yourself. So guys, this month I'm going to challenge you to be weird. I'm going to challenge you over the next couple months and the rest of the year to be weird. Accept it. Because here's my thing. I find comfort in being weird. I have no problem being the one at work that gets judged. And I have no problem being the one that says, hey, Adam, why don't you pray because you're the holy one? All right, that's fine. It's going to be like a 10-minute prayer because I'm going to give you as much Jesus as you can get. Because obviously, if you're making fun of me, you need him just a little bit. But I have no problem being that. And I want to challenge you guys, be the same way. And if you're still sitting here and you're like, Adam, what you say makes no sense. God is weird. Jesus is weird. I don't want to have a relationship. Just give me a couple weeks. Because I promise you over the next 4 weeks, all the way through next week, through Daniel, and through here in Derrick Dale, I promise you we're going to prove to you why Jesus is weird and there's nothing wrong with it. I'm going to ask you guys to go ahead and bow your heads with me tonight. I want you to look at your own life for a moment. I want you just to kind of look at that for a second. Think about what you do. Think about your life. Think about your friends. Think about the people that you encounter. Are you walking down the big road, searching for that big gate? Or are you walking down the small one? The one that you can barely even find because there's really not a lot of people that walk down it. The gate's probably so small you got to crawl through it. Which gate are you looking for? How do you view Jesus? Is your Jesus a normal Jesus? Or is your Jesus the weird one? The one that talks in all these weird slogans and answers questions with questions and performs miracles and rises from the dead? Is that the Jesus that you follow? And I challenge you guys, are you somebody that's following right behind him? You've got your hand up saying, Jesus, I don't care. You can call me weird. You can label me weird. You can stick me in the corner by myself. I don't even care, God. As long as I have a relationship with you, then I'm good. If you're sitting here today and you're that person that I was talking about, that you really don't care, you don't want to know, I pray that God kind of touched your heart tonight and showed you why it's okay to be that person. Be set apart from the world. Be different from the world. If you don't have a relationship with Christ and you're ready to seek after him, you're ready to see what he's got, I challenge you guys tonight. Raise your hand for me. Say, I want to follow Christ. I'm ready for that relationship. I see that hand. That is awesome. If you're ready to be categorized as weird and you got no problem with it, ask Christ into your heart tonight. There's no special words. There's no special song and dance you got to do. It's just having a one-on-one conversation with your eyes closed and your head bowed to Jesus, asking him, I know I'm a sinner. I know you died for me. Wipe me of my sins. God, we thank you for tonight. We thank you for the students that are here. And God, I just ask that you take tonight's message and you just kind of let it marinate on their hearts tonight, Lord. I ask that you have them look inward and kind of see who they are. What kind of relationship do they have with God? What kind of relationship do they have with Jesus? Do they want to be just like him? Because the more we become like him, the more weird we're going to become. Jesus, we love you. In your holy name we pray. Amen.